Good morning, world.
Good morning. Well, gather the kids around because we're going to piggyback on last Tuesday's video and read a story called A Kid's Book About Racism. So today is story time with Cedric and Brian. I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian, and this is Cedric and Brian. All right, I'm ready for story time, but before that, I'm a little concerned about food shortages because of what's going on in the world. So I'm not talking about just little food shortages like we had during COVID where the shelves were a little bare. I'm talking about honest to goodness food shortages and what we need to do.
Okay, what are we going to do about it?
Well, we need to be prepared. We definitely need to be prepared. Would you be ready if that happened? Probably not.
That's why we urge you to get some long-term storage emergency food from our friends at My Patriot Supply. They're the original Patriot Survival Company. Over the past decade, they've served millions of American families just like yours. Their mission is your survival. And right now, you can save 25% on a 4-week kit of emergency food that will save the day, probably really soon. This 4-week kit has a wide variety of delicious food that provides over 2,000 calories per day, the right amount for optimum survival. So go to preparewithcedricandbrian.com so you can claim your 4-week emergency food kit and save 25% in the process. Order a tasty starter kit for each member of your family and they'll ship everything quickly and discreetly to your door. That's preparewithcedricandbrian.com.
All right. I know those pancakes look tasty, and they were.
We've been eating the same pancakes for the last 3 weeks.
We only made that once.
All right. Okay, so what are we going to talk about today?
Let's get into story time. So if you guys watched our last episode, we brought up a book. Well, Cedric brought up a book called A Kid's
Book About Racism.
Well, I hadn't delved into that yet, and then Cedric sent me a link on the author, the thinker, as you put it last time, reading the book on the internet, on YouTube. So we found that, and we're going to review it.
Okay.
This isn't Tom McDonald. This is Jelani, what's his last name?
Memory.
Yes. Jelani.
This is not Tom McDonald. This is craziness, like old McDonald had a farm nonsense.
Yeah, so let's get into it. And again, we're here together every week for you guys. We don't want people to be racist, but that you can't. What's the word I'm looking for? What is in somebody's heart?
Yeah, you can't.
All you can do is be good to each other.
You can't legislate love.
Yeah,
people are gonna love whether they want to or not, but we can't keep putting it out there in the forefront and make it the cause of everything.
Yeah, and if somebody is that ignorant to not like somebody because of the color of skin, not the content of their character, then that's on them. So we're gonna go through this book here. It's brilliant.
Yeah. Hide the kids. Hide your wife. Hide your kids.
My name's Jelani Memory, and this is a kid's book about racism. This is a book about racism. For reals. And yes, it...
So I told Cedric, I said, you have these parents that have their 5-year-olds, probably their infants in the womb still, listening to Mozart and Beethoven, and instead we have a kid's book for kids, starts out with for reals.
For reals, though. For reals.
I hate to nitpick, but we just had to hit that right off the bat.
For true.
It really is for kids.
It really is for kids.
It's a good book to read with a grown-up, because you'll have lots to talk about afterward.
Yes, you will. Just
you keep reading. The book won't bite. Now to introduce myself. My name is Jelani. My skin color looks like this. If you're colorblind, this is the color brown.
Right out the gate, we're talking about skin color.
Got to get it in the skin game when we talk about racism.
The old skin game. My skin color looks like this. And what is that color anyway?
It's like halfway in between me and you, Cedric.
Yeah.
I wonder why that is.
Jeez.
We'll find out next.
Because my dad is black and my mom is white.
Okay, but are they really black?
Well, black is the mud.
Black and white. I don't think they are.
No.
they're probably also brown.
Right. Yes.
So I'm a lighter shade of brown.
Mom's a lighter shade of brown.
And then Cedric's a little darker shade of brown. So,
right.
But we are not truly black and white. But that's what we want to put everybody into, right?
Right. I've called myself German chocolate.
That's right. He does call himself that. Oktoberfest.
Which makes me mixed. Or African American, biracial, black, or a person of color.
Oh, wait.
Wait a minute.
Wait. Hey, he says he's black.
Yeah. Biracial.
Why doesn't he say white?
POC, but he's not white. I thought Mom was white.
His mom's white. His dad's black. But he's black? He can just pick, I guess. He can pick anything but white.
You can get your Kamala on and just pick whatever you want.
You know why? Because he can't play a victim if he says he's white. Because your kids, so Cedric has some biracial kids, and one of them identifies as white, one of them identifies as black. I don't know what the third one identifies as.
But that's a cultural thing.
Yeah.
And we talked about that last summer. And do you want to bring that up now? Our videos from last summer, the 4-part
Yeah, we
series?
did a 3-part series on racism. So if you want to go, have some stuff that's not, telling you to separate people in color, just 2 guys that dealt with racism, me dealing with a Nazi guy growing up, having my mom being Jewish, and obviously Cedric. Go watch those episodes.
Yeah.
We don't want to give them all away, but...
Yeah. Well, part 4 was interesting because my own kids spent the last 12 minutes of that video talking about what it was like being biracial.
Yeah.
So that was pretty interesting.
Yeah. But this guy, we just brought this up because he mentioned biracial, African American, black, but he didn't mention white, even though he's half white, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm proud of who I am and the color of my skin, but...
Wait a minute. So you can be black and be proud of who you are, but what if my white friend here was proud? Proud boy. Oops. Proud of who he was.
Yeah, I don't think I'm allowed to be proud because of the color of my skin, yet if you look at that still, he is proud of who he is and the color of his skin. But I can't be proud.
No, you can't be proud. You'd be you'd be a white supremacist, you'd be a proud boy,
I guess if I separate more, like if I say, well, I'm a proud Scotsman, being Scottish, have Scottish heritage,
right.
Or like for the Italians, I'm a proud Italian, or I'm Irish. But you can't just say black, or I can't just say white.
No, you can't say you're a proud white man.
Yeah, so we just have to. Yeah. That's why it's so silly to separate people anyway, and we'll get to that later.
We'll find a category for you.
Yeah, thanks.
Because of my skin color, people aren't always nice to me. Sometimes I get called names.
You're getting called names, not because of your skin color. It's the content of your lack of character. A good friend of mine left a comment months ago, and he was joking around, and we were talking about racism. And he goes, Cedric, I don't dislike you because you're black. I dislike you because you're a jerk. And jerks come in all colors. Black, white, whatever it is.
Yeah, I have a feeling this guy got picked on at recess in school, and that's why he wrote this book. And it probably had nothing to do with the color of his skin.
Well, when you miss the ball playing kickball, you get made fun of.
Other times, it's worse. The person doing it might not even realize that it hurts me. A lot.
Okay, who was his editor? And who went through this and said, okay, we're not going to put any graphics in, and we're going to use 2 pages for 1 word.
Yeah.
Or for 2 words.
It's symbolism there. So I understand that when kids bully other kids, it's hurtful.
Yeah.
So what I was taught, and I know that they don't teach us anymore, but I've told you this on other videos, my mom would say, sticks and stones may break your bones, but names can never harm you. And then Cedric looked at it another way. It's not what your people call you, it's what you answer to, right?
My maternal grandmother says, honey, it ain't what they call you, it's what you answer to.
So this book is teaching people how to be hurt. Instead of him teaching people, hey, that's on them. If they call you names, that's their problem. That's what I was taught.
I just thought about that great Eleanor Roosevelt quote. She said, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent.
Yeah.
So it's completely up to you.
Exactly. So, and we'll talk about all of the views at the end of this, but it's crazy.
And when they treat me that way, it makes me feel small.
Real small.
You see, some people believe that having different color skin means you aren't as good as others.
So I learned that when I used to go into pickup games playing basketball. I felt it hurt really, really bad. Nobody wanted the the less melanin kid on their team.
Oh, you picked last?
Only if I was amongst people of color. And for some reason, they made the assumption that I wasn't as good.
Well, they just stick you out by the 3-point line, just told you to shoot.
Yeah. So I understand what he's talking about. I felt so bad.
That's called racism.
That's called racism.
Except for the only problem is that I learned later that only I could be racist. So it wasn't racism against me, even though they didn't want me on the team because I was white. Mm-hmm. I found out later through the Ibram X. Kendis and the C.R.T. that only white people can be racist.
Yes.
Yeah. So he didn't bring that up. He's just saying a blanket statement that's racism, but he hasn't learned that.
I can't be racist.
That's right.
What is racism? Racism means to hate someone, exclude them, or treat them badly because of their race or the color of their skin.
Regardless of that person's color.
And it happens all the time.
Does it happen all the time?
And that's the crux of the book, and that's the crux of CRT. Look for racism and you will find it.
Yeah.
So what he's saying, he's summarizing CRT at the preschool level. Now this is the preschool book that's being read to your kids before they get into secondary and middle school and high school. So they're laying the groundwork here, saying that it happens all the time, kids. And you're going to have young, impressionable kids sitting on the rug at Storytime, looking up and going, it happens all the time.
All the time.
Not just in big ways, but sometimes it shows up in small ways.
These illustrations suck.
Ways that are almost invisible.
So that's it. Like he just said, they're almost invisible. In fact, sometimes they are invisible.
Or very small.
We call that microaggressions.
Microaggressions.
So kids, go out and look for that racism. It'll make you a much better person.
You will find it.
Yeah, that's basically what this is teaching you. You know, don't teach them to say, hey, sticks and stones. Just say, hey, if it's a real small, maybe you don't even recognize it. You know it's there.
Yeah.
Like a look, a comment, a question, a thought, a joke, a word, or a belief.
So this comes to me because I'm one of those inquisitive people.
Yeah.
I like to find out about people. So I have somebody come in my office and they're black and they have an accent. I ask them where they're from because I'm interested. I want to, so they'll tell me like this person, I believe they said they were from Nigeria. So I thought, oh, that's interesting. And then we had a conversation about Nigeria. It's not because I'm a racist. Right. If a white person comes up with an accent, I usually ask, if they sound Australian, hey, are you from Australia? What part of Australia? Just because the person's black, now I'm racist for asking where they're from, but if they're white, I'm not?
Yeah. What Brian is talking about is what's called microaggressions now. Anytime you ask someone, well, where are you from? And you got a great accent. If you inquire about that, it's a microaggression. If you go back to our very first video, how me and Brian met and became friends, we met at the gym. And it was about 3 weeks into our friendship.
Lies.
It's not a lie. It was 3 weeks into our friendship, and I think we were benching or doing shoulder press, whatever.
I was helping you with your 10-pound weight.
And he said, hey, can I tell you a black joke? Now, I don't remember the joke, because it probably wasn't funny knowing Brian. Because it wasn't funny. But at least he had, but I didn't get offended by it, because whatever it was, I think I gave him a courtesy chuckle. I was like, oh, he's trying.
I'm sure he told me a Jewish joke later. Or a Polish joke. Yes, I am Polish and Jewish.
Oh my goodness.
But if you look at that other word there, so a question, so it's ridiculous. So they already don't want us to communicate because now I can't ask him about his life because that's considered racist. Right. Or a thought. Look, a thought. How do they know what you're thinking? I mean, there's the thought police.
The thought police coming in.
Yeah.
We're not gonna talk about that, but we're talking about this administration reading your text messages.
I know.
And if you misinformation is what I call it. If you have any misinformation about COVID or anything else, they have the right to look at that and say, nope, can't put that out there.
I know. We might accidentally have said a year ago that I think it might have come from a lab. Ooh, that was shut down fast, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's scary. So when you talk about, and this is what he's talking about, it's invisible, a thought. How do you know what people are thinking?
Well, they look
now
at
you're
you.
just assuming. They're assuming what you're thinking.
Right. Well, if I look you up and down, it's like...
Yeah, but I remember, I'm just going to take a side note here. When I was going through school, I didn't realize that my eyes were going bad, because I was on the computer all the time.
Right.
So people would walk up and I'd be kind of squinting at them, and I didn't know who it was. And then they would say, "Why didn't you say hi?" And I couldn't see. I got glasses. It was like the whole world opened up to me. So if Cedric would walk up to me being black and not white, and I would have squinted at him, if I know Cedric, so he wouldn't be like this, but somebody like this gentleman here might say, that guy's a racist.
Perception is everything.
Yeah, he was looking at me with squinty eyes. I couldn't see. And that's the type of microaggressions that may not even exist as racism, but we're just calling it racism.
Yeah.
Racism is one of the worst kinds of mean someone can be.
Is it really?
Because racism thinks being different is bad. But
Stop. You had something to say.
I mean, if you look at the biblical standpoint, a wrong is a wrong is a wrong is a wrong. I would much rather be called a name than be murdered.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't think racism is it bad, but if you're always looking for it, you're going to find it. But there are worse things out there than being called a name. And
somebody like in school, somebody comes and gives you a swirly, or you know what a swirly is, or a wedgie.
Right.
They give you a swirly's in the toilet. Sorry,
Yeah.
A wedgie.
Right.
I'd rather them call me, some name,
Yeah.
than actually come up and grab my underwear and pull it up my butt.
Well, you shared this in that video. You were called Jew Boy.
Yeah,
in high school.
But that was actually, those were my friends.
Right.
Those kind of gave me a thing. It wasn't, I didn't take it. So it's one thing. So
Right.
if somebody came up and said, stupid Jew boy, I could take that bad. Since it's my friend, they gave me that moniker and I was JB. I didn't take it. So it's how you perceive it and how you accept it.
Right.
So again, I mean, the N-word's used throughout the rap world, not in a negative way.
Right.
Right? So
Yeah.
it's how you perceive it and how you take it.
Right.
So again, for this guy to say racism is the worst form of or whatever he said, worst form of mean.
Yeah.
Again, he's using childish language to
Yeah.
speak with children. Anyway,
How much did you have to pay for those 3 letters to be on TV?
But
And the comma?
being different is actually good.
it is.
Like really, 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 really.
I know he's going on for a while, so I'm going to pause because this is the problem that you get with a lot of, especially teenagers. Being different can be good. It's not always good. Some of these kids, they just need attention. And like the people who pierce everything, and there's one guy I know, not like Tom, this guy, he tattooed literally his whole face.
Right.
Now, if you're a famous rapper and you can make a lot of money because your stuff is so good, great.
Oh,
But
yeah.
if that guy doesn't have the talent and now he has to go get a 9 to 5
Yeah.
and he just tattooed his own face, he's going to have a hard time finding a job.
Yeah.
So it's not always really, 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 really almost there.
But this is powerful because I'm sure you guys have heard the saying, like, you will be in 5 years based on 3 things: what you read, what you listen to, and the people you hang out with. Words are powerful, and the fact that he's said really, 100 times, it's really stressing to the young kids that it's really important for me to be different. So the more different I am, and no one can say anything about it, the better off I will be.
But here's what's ironic. They say it's really, really good to be different, but then they put you in classes by color.
Right.
But you're black, so you're part of BLM.
And let's be clear, they're talking about being different as far as your appearance,
I know.
not by your thought.
And so, but here's what, but like I said, he says it's good to be different. Individually, it is good to be different. But, I'll have to cut that for a minute. But then, the people that are purveyors of the CRT are putting people in boxes by group.
Right.
So they're not different individually.
Right.
So this is where Cedric and I agree with him. It's good to be different.
Yeah.
It's good to stand out, right? Not always, I'm telling you, but that's not what this whole racism thing is. They're putting people in boxes.
Yeah. Intersectionality.
Almost there, I promise. Really, 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 really good. 1000% good.
That doesn't make any
And we
sense.
can't tell him he's wrong because then math would be racist. You can only do 100%.
Because being different means we have so much more to offer each other.
It's true.
Things like help, ideas, strength, skills, creativity, life, patience, respect, community, love, knowledge, experience, perspective, insight, diversity, wisdom, empathy, and originality.
Those are all incredible qualities. incredible qualities.
Yep.
But they're not
based on color.
based on you being white or me being black or someone else being another race. Those are just incredible qualities for people to have.
Yeah. So you teach kids that, but you take the racist part out of it.
Yeah.
Right?
This is the damn shame.
Damn shame.
I'm going to write a book.
That whole being different thing, it makes us better.
Sometimes.
Much better. So if you see someone being treated badly, made fun of, excluded from playing, or looked down on because of their skin color...
So I just wanted to stop there just for a minute. And I'm going to read that again, but I'm going to leave the last part off. So if you see someone being treated badly, made fun of, excluded from playing, or looked down on, then you call it out.
Call it out.
Doesn't matter. And then he has to I understand this is a book on racism, that's what sells.
Yeah.
But you call bullies out, period, because believe me, there were plenty of bullies in my school that had nothing to do with race.
No.
They'll find anything.
Yeah.
One kid's ears stuck out so much, so he was called Dumbo.
Right.
That kid was me. Redheaded kids got called out and called names.
Yeah.
You got braces, you got glasses, anything.
Yeah.
So you call out the bullies. You can separate all that stuff out individually. But this guy wants to make it all about race.
My nickname in middle school and the early part of high school was Hook.
Why is that?
Because that's back in '84, that's when ball players first started to shave their head, and I was so skinny that when I turned to the side, my head went like this, and I looked like a giant question mark whenever I walked because I was so skinny. So I had a big hook head, and just called me Hook.
You used to be skinny?
I was just, last week. You know what? Now you're bullying.
I'm sorry, I bullied him.
And since it's me, it's racist.
It had nothing to do with the color of his skin.
But I'm going to claim racism now.
Call it racism.
Oh, jeez.
That was touching.
Okay, I need to add this really quick. Oh my goodness, where did it go? Pause that. Okay, now me growing up, and if you guys want to tune me out, you can. But from a biblical perspective, it says in Galatians 3:28, "There's neither Jew nor Greek, there's neither slave nor free, there's neither male nor female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus." And what he's saying there is no BLM, there is no intersectionality, there is no this, there's that. We are all one. Now, some of you are going to run with this. I know this thing gets a lot. I'm going to clarify this really quick. There's neither male nor female. It does not refute what it says back in Genesis 5:2. He says he created them male and female. What he was saying there in Galatians is that we're all one. There's no need to separate us between rich and poor and slave and master and black and white. But this book is doing the exact opposite, and it's teaching kids at a very early age that it's okay to do that.
Yeah, and I think he has good intentions, and by looking at all the comments, I said he has hundreds of thousands of views on this video, and overwhelmingly positive, because in his heart he thinks he's teaching kids not to be racist, which is great. That's noble. But how about spinning it like Martin Luther King Jr. and just teaching people to judge people by the content of their character, not the color of their skin? Teach them about color blindness.
Right.
And if somebody calls you something because of the color of your skin, then you call them out on it and you say, "What? You're an idiot. We're all individuals."
Right.
You don't teach them that, like he said in there, it made me feel really, really small, or it really, really hurt. It's like he's using this language that gets into a 5-year-old's mind, as instead of empowering the 5-year-old, it says, "I'm going to feel hurt by that because of that other person."
Yeah.
What did Cedric say before? What your grandmother said?
It ain't what they call you, it's what you answer to.
That's what we need to teach, and stop all this nonsense about putting people in category. Because remember, this guy who's, by his own admission, he's half black, half white, yet he doesn't identify white at all. And why? Why? If white has all this privilege, why wouldn't he identify as white? Right. Use his privilege.
Well, like Brian said earlier, we want to focus on this book because we featured it in Tuesday's video. And now, along with this book, I lost count. There's like 20, 30, 40 other ones. They're going to be introduced to your kids or your grandchildren, if you're at that age, when they go into preschool. So if your kids are in a public school and CRT is being introduced, they're getting them right out of the gate.
Yep. All right, you got a comment.
Oh,
it has to do with CRT.
Well, since we're talking about CRT, we're going to go back to our old CRT video. I don't know. And this is from Tom Dudek. And Tom is he's yelling at us because it's in all caps. And Tom says, I don't blame you, Tom. I'd be yelling too. Tom says, teaching racism is wrong. Assigning stereotypes to a group such as blackness or whiteness is wrong. Period. Saying otherwise is cowardice. And then he had his own little acronym for CRT. Creating racial tensions. Tom, couldn't say it any better than that. That's exactly what it's doing. It's just creating racial tensions where there really wasn't any to begin with. But now they're finding it because that is the crux. That's what undergirds CRT is look for racism and you will find it because it's everywhere, according to them.
Yeah, especially according to all the false narratives that have been debunked, like hands up, don't shoot.
Hands up, I just robbed a store.
I just robbed a store and I tried to steal that cop's gun.
But don't shoot.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. It's scary. This is scary. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Make sure you like. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you ring that bell. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say thank you guys for helping us get to 10,000 subscribers. That is huge for little content creators like us. And it's the first stepping stone onto bigger and better things. And we have you guys to thank for it. So keep sharing our videos with everyone you know. And in the meantime, continue being good to each other. Until next time, I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian. We'll see you later.